Hi guys, welcome to a new guide of the new lap time challenge. Today we are using the R34 Z-Tune, the update car, on a Kyoto Yamagiwa. Now for this one, it is quite a long lap. In my opinion, it is quite difficult to get gold here, but hopefully with this guide on the controller, you can use, if you're on Unreal, you can use this guide as well for brake markers, etc. Hopefully it'll help you get the gold time, which I believe will go down to the 1:45.7, 1:46-ish, 1:55, somewhere around there. But quickly, before we make a start, uh, here I've got a power graph of the car, and as you can see here, the peak power is roughly 7.3 k-ish revs. So basically, you will want to be short shifting this car about 70% to reach the peak power for this car. Now I'm going to show you my fastest lap, followed by the lap in closer detail and into more detail. So enjoy. Now I'm going to go into detail on how I did the 1.29 with the R34 on Kyoto. Before I start, first of all, I want to say huge thanks for the support in the first video. Well, I've had a few comments, all positive, so thanks for that. And almost 150 views on my first video, to me, is insane. So I want to thank you all for the support. And like I said last week, I'm hoping I can do this every week to help you guys out on the controller and Unreal, but this is more towards the controller as I'm a controller user myself. Now, heading on to the lap. So we start here, and for this last corner to set up the lap, I brake between the 50 marker and the end of the curb. And I want to get fully on the outside, and I upshift to third as I get back on the throttle, and I take the wide line on the outside to maximise the exit speed to start the lap. Now, one more thing I will say before starting the lap, I'm shifting just past 50% because with this peak power of the car, it's just past 7,000, but at the same time, you want to go slightly over that 7,000 on the actual lap because there's a bit after the 7,000 RPM that is faster than when you are upshifting to about the 5.5k rev range. But to start a lap, you want to shift basically at the 7k marker to have a little head start to start the lap. Anyway, going into turn one, I am braking, but you see the marshals on the right here? I brake just before my screen hits them, basically. So right here, I am lifting the throttle and I'm applying the brakes, as you can see with the ABS marker right now. Now, I'm going to be downshifting very aggressively in this car, because that is basically the only way to stop this car quickly. So I'll downshift third as soon as I can. I try hook the inside, but if you saw closely, I was slightly on the throttle to try carry the minimum apex speed. But I'm also not like directly on the inside curb, so I open up the exit a bit more so I can just plant the throttle for the most part. I do a little safety lift to make sure I stay on the track here, otherwise I would have run off ride. Now, this bit, I'm probably going to spend a minute or two on this bit because this is by far the hardest section of the lap, in my personal opinion. So for the first bit, you want the right wheels to be just touching the curb and the left wheels completely off the track, as you'll see here. Now, I messed up on this particular lap, but basically I would start turning in about now. But as you can see on this lap, I'm starting to turn right a bit too late, so you'll see me miss the apex of the next bit. But basically what you want is you want the right wheels to be on the grass and the left wheels on the curb. But if you are going to do that, you're going to need to lift the throttle as you get off the grass, otherwise the car is going to bounce too much, at least on the controller. I'm not sure what it's like on real, but at least on controller, you'll have to do just a very small lift. But as I accelerate on this bit, go up to 5th gear, it is faster, because that is where the peak power of this car is. You're already past the peak revs when you stay 4th to the first part of the fast chicanes, fast section, for fast S's. But like I said, now I'm in 5th gear, I'm on full throttle. Now because I'm not on the grass, I don't have to lift, because the car's not going to bounce. For this bit, luckily, because I was going so slow, because I missed the first part, I could stay on the full throttle. But again, if you're on the grass and you're about to go off the grass, you might want to do a little safety lift so the car doesn't overreact off the curb or the grass as much, so you can keep control of your car well. And since I'm going for the fastest time possible, I like to cut this part of the track as much as I can. You don't have to though, and you might want to lift just to make sure you're not touching the outside barrier on the exit. But here, I am cutting it as much as I can. I'm even on the air slightly here. But I lost probably 2/10 on this part here, so you can easily do a low 3 here. But for this corner, you see when the barrier starts to open up on the right, I brake just after it, basically where the 100 marker is. I'm braking here. Now, again, you want to aggressively downshift to 3rd here. Now, I personally like to try stay close to the apex here, just to minimize distance, but you can also take a slightly wider line and get on the throttle earlier. It's probably faster that way, to be honest, but I just prefer hugging it on the inside. Now, just carry on trail braking, get on the throttle nicely. Basically, you only want to go on throttle as soon as you feel comfortable that the car will bite in and you won't have to lift off the throttle onto the next corner. Now, I could have gone the throttle slightly earlier, so I lost some time there as well. Now, for this section, again, I think this section is quite difficult, but I think it's slightly easier than the other section we went past a minute or two ago. So basically here, I'm braking just after the 150 meter, and I'm going to downshift to 3rd. But as I get to the corner, you'll see me upshift to 4th, and I'm pretty sure on this lap I am fully on the throttle. I don't even lift, and you need your right wheels to just touch the curb. Because if most of your car is touching the curb, it will overreact. But if it's just your right side of the car, right side of the wheels that are touching the curb, it usually doesn't overreact like that. You see, more of my car is off the track, so it's not reacting weirdly, as you'll see here. And yes, I'm sorry, I did actually lift a bit. It settles the car a bit more. But for this section, I'm fairly certain I stayed fully on the throttle. And again, you want more of a car off the track. Now, it's a bit of a blind bit, this bit, but basically I started turning right just as the 11 number on the left here is about to hit my screen. Like, when I say hit my screen, I mean as I'm about to go past it. Now, I stay 4th gear here. It is fast to stay 4th and to up to 5th and then brake. It is fast to stay 4th because of the way it takes time to change the gears in this car. But I am braking for this corner here, where the beginning of the red and white curb begins. And I'm going to downshift pretty aggressively down to 2nd, I believe. Oh, I missed it. Let me go back. Like I said, where the right and red curve begins, I am starting to brake right now. I go down to 2nd to get this car stopped, but as soon as I basically stopped near the apex or close to the apex, whatever, I am straight away back on the throttle and I upshift to 3rd gear. Because in 3rd it doesn't oversteer, and basically as soon as you hit the exit, the peak power comes through already. Now, again, this section's pretty difficult. Let me go back again, so I can explain it more. You want to cut both the corners on this next bit as much as you can. And basically, if you haven't noticed, I change gear between the recommended gear box and the actual gearing that I'm currently in. So over here, you'll see this little separation of the barriers here. I start turning very slightly after. As you can see, I started turning now. You want your left wheels on the curb here and to hug that curb. Your right wheels is off the track. And then as soon as I'm basically heading straight for the next part of the corner, when the curb ends on the right, I am on the brakes down to 3rd. And then again, you want your right wheels on the curb, the flat part of the curb if you can. And I am exiting the corner in 4th, and you can fully go on the throttle here. Try not to run too wide either, because you'll lose time otherwise. And from this last corner, here is the 100-meter marker, here is the 50-meter marker. I'm basically braking about 70 meters, and I'm going to downshift aggressively to 2nd gear in a straight line. And for this corner, I try not to touch the curb, but you can touch the curb if you want. But in my opinion, it is better to be slightly wide on this corner and to have less steering angle for the exit, so you can carry more speed and have less chance of oversteer. But on this particular lap, I just touch it. But when I get back on the throttle, I am fully on the throttle in 3rd gear again. And use all the exit curves. And to finish the lap, stay in 4th until 129 mile an hour hits, and then you up to 5th. And that's how I did a 1.29. So hopefully that helps. And yeah, good luck with this time trial. And this is how you get into it now. Hi guys, to see my lap time of the R34 at Kyoto. First of all, you can go to the showcase here, go to content search, then just put Calster, and make sure the content type is on replays. It's this one over here. Also to see a ghost and a replay if you don't want to go to the discovery section. And how to get onto it in the first place is online time trials over here, top right. It's the first one on the left, and then play replay here. Or if you want a ghost, go into the session. And then click on the ghost. And then you can see my ghost around the lap while you're driving. Cheers guys, and have a good one.